YouTubers. We are at the final stages of getting ready to go live. Well, I guess I've just gone live. So that just happened. You probably can't hear me. Here, put these on. Okay. Hey, how about that? All right, so we just had kind of a major issue with the live stream, and I had to basically reset my video resolution settings to some defaults. I'm not sure how well they're going to work. They're not what I'd like them to be, but maybe it doesn't matter. So we're going to go with it because I don't have time to do anything else. And if it's good, then it's good. And if it's not, then that's why this is still an experiment. So we've got about 3.5 minutes to go before we go live on the air. And we'll listen for all of the normal and typical kerchunks as we approach our start time. And are you guys going to hang out with me tonight? Are you looking for a way to escape? That's what I thought. All right. All right. I got one of the pooches in here. She's going to hang out with me. Let's see. How does that look? That looks horrible. Right. Okay. So, and if you see me looking that way a lot, it's because the monitor, well, it's because Studio B is over there. And I'm over here. But I've got a handy little, I've got this thing right here. And I can remote control that computer with this keypad so that I can switch between screenshots. If I can remember which ones where's there, that one. Okay, so we're going to want that, and that, and that. All right, 2 minutes. Oh, you gotta check out the North Georgia GMRS class. That's very cool. Okay. I should get the script out. Let's see, is it here? Yeah, there it is. Let's see, this is the beginning of it. But that's not the right one. What's this one? That's not the right one either. Yeah, I'm going to go with this one. All right. Got a minute left, so I got plenty of time. Got my announcements here. And I got my cell phone propped up so I can see whatever text messages various people send me during the middle of the event so that I can stay abreast to current happenings. And here we go, about 30 seconds left until I hit the push to talk. Yeah, I better take one more swig out of my North Georgia GMRS glass. All right, got to remember to move the microphone back because you can't hear me if I don't. Audio is probably a little bit low at the moment, but once I get on the air, I'll speak a little bit louder. And here it is, it's showtime. Good evening, and welcome to the North Georgia GMRS Net. This net takes place every Thursday evening at 8 p.m. And I have the wrong page here. There we go. I'd like to thank everyone who has made North Georgia GMRS the most expansive and active GMRS network in the country. Your net control tonight is Atlanta 946, WQIR 514. My name is Justin, and I'm located in Woodstock, Georgia. On the net, you can talk about your day's activities, radio equipment, or anything you think we'd like to know. This is a family-based network, and we'd encourage you to get your family involved. Once the floor is open, it is permissible to address the other members of the net by their names or tactical unit numbers. The use of your FCC call sign is only required when you sign in and sign out of the net. When signing in, please speak slowly. Be sure and key up a moment before you begin speaking so that the repeaters all have time to synchronize and come together. Speak slowly and clearly as you give your tactical unit number, your call sign, your name, and your location. You need all four of those pieces of information for the logbook. So if you would please, any youth check-ins, anyone 18 and under that would like to check in to the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net, please call Net Control now. All right. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. I need to hit this button and that button. There. Okay. No youth check-ins. That's all right. Once again, the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net is now taking check-ins from our youth members 18 and under. Please call Net Control now. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on from that, and I'm now going to ask for any check-ins from any visiting transient licensed GMRS operators or new members of the North Georgia GMRS network. This is anyone who has a GMRS license that is in the area and would like to check in, or any new members to the North Georgia GMRS. Please call Net Control now. Donald is a brand new member. But I've got him in here from Blairsville. All right. All right, Donald, I've got you in the log as a brand new member. Thank you for checking in with us this evening. Do we have any other new members or guests to the area that would like to check in on the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net? Please call Net Control now.
Atlanta 940 WRS. This is Newman 25, Joe in Fayetteville, WRCL 957. Atlanta 32, checking in. Gentlemen, this is Chris, checking in and out. WQQD 705.
Okay, I heard a double or a triple or maybe even a quadruple bypass going on there. I was able to pick out of that 948 and 403. Let me just go back and I will summarize what I've got so far. I have Atlanta 253 Donald in Blairsville, and I have Atlanta 940 Shannon in Woodstock. Shannon is in and out tonight. Thank you, Shannon, for checking in with us this evening. And from Zello, I believe, I'm not sure that was an RF check-in, but I have Noonan 25, Joe in Fayetteville. Thank you, Joe, for checking in with us tonight. And I would love to ask you some questions about fox hunting, since that was a topic on recent conversation on Facebook with our group. So hope that you can stick around for that. And I also heard Atlanta 32. Chris, I didn't catch where you're checking in from. If you have an opportunity to come back with that, I would appreciate that. And I'm going to break for you to do that right now.
At 32, I'm checking in from Cummins tonight. They'll be in Atlanta 32, checking in from Cummins.
Okay, I've got that. Checking in from Cummins. Thank you for that, Chris. And next I have Atlanta 948. That is Gary, right here across my backyard in Woodstock. And next I have Atlanta 403. All of a sudden I've drawn a blank. Bob in White County. Thank you, Bob, for checking in with us this evening. That's all I heard. So if anyone else checked in right there when Gary and Bob were checking in, I missed it. You'll need to come back to me. So I'm going to go ahead and take a pause, and we are taking check-ins. I guess we're taking check-ins from anywhere. So any repeater anywhere, just go ahead and let's see if we can sort it all out. Come on.
Well, 948 WRL 430. I didn't know if you heard me. Oh, yes, I'm not checking
Yeah, I
in.
acknowledged you, Gary. All right. So. In Cedartown, I heard you.
7 WQBI 806. Sean and Canton, check me in and out tonight. This is Atlanta 108 22 VF 603 Lincoln.
Oh. Okay, so I got Marty and Tyrone.
This is Atlanta 291 WQIJ 279 Nick and Ackworth. This is Atlanta 57 WQZC 882 Andrew in Holly Springs.
Okay, you guys are coming faster than I can keep up with you here. So.
This is Atlanta 106 WRC 278. That control, please check me as in and out. I've been doing 14-hour days and I am just straight out exhausted. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening on the net. I look forward to chatting with y'all later on this week.
Okay.
This is Atlanta 170 WRCD 598 Jesse in Milburn.
All right.
This is Atlanta 780 WQUV 439 Houston in Austell.
Whoops. That's not who you are, Jesse. You are Jesse in Lilburn, not Jesse Lilburn. Okay, got that sorted out. Skip. I didn't catch where Skip was checking in from. Okay, that was a whole bunch of them that came real fast. So I may have missed someone, and I may have gotten something wrong along the way. So if I did, just come back and correct me. But I'm gonna pick up after Bob in White County. I have Atlanta 350 Jim in Cedartown. Jim's had a long day and he wants to just check in and out. So I've got you in a log here, Jim. Thank you for that check-in. I appreciate that. And I have Atlanta 737 Sean in Canton. I believe Sean said that he was also in and out, so I've got you in a log, Sean. It was great to hear from you, and I hope things are going well. And I have, I believe it was Noonan 29. I might have the TAC number wrong, Marty. But Marty and Tyrone is checking in with us this evening. Thank you for that. And I haven't heard from Atlanta 108 in quite some time, Skip. It's great to hear from you. I missed the city that you were checking in from. So when we get to a place, if you could come back with that so I can fill in my log, I would appreciate it. Next, that brings me to Atlanta 291, Nick in Ackworth. Nick, I believe you said you were in and out. If that's not correct, just chime on in here and let me know. Next, I have Atlanta 57, Andrew in Holly Springs. Thank you, Andrew, for checking in with us tonight. And I have Atlanta 106. I believe that is Brian in Woodstock. Brian's had some long days, and he's got nothing for us this evening. So we've got him in the log as in and out. Thanks, Brian, for hanging out with us this evening, especially after putting in those long days. Next, I have Atlanta 170, Jesse in Lilburn. Thank you, Jesse, for checking in with us tonight. Looking forward to talking with you. And Atlanta 780, Houston in Austell. Houston, it's great to hear from you this evening, and I've got you in the log. If I've missed anyone, and Skip, if you're able to come back and let me know where you're at, I would appreciate it.
Somerville 10, portable WQWW 603, Alex from Canton. I'll be in and out tonight as well, unless I finish up what I'm doing by the time the net's over.
Oops, I hate caps lock. All right. Okay, so there's... Atlanta 108, I had a horrible buzz in there with you. I don't know if somebody doubled or what that was. Your signal earlier was much, much better. I didn't catch the name of that city. If somebody can relay, or if you can come back one more time, Skip. Okay, excellent audio, excellent signal that time, and I copied Lincolnton. So thank you for that, Skip. Do we have any other check-ins for North Georgia GMRS Regional Net? Any repeater anywhere, please call Net Control now.
Net Control.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
I'm in.
Okay, you're breaking up there, but I think you're trying to tell me that you were in.
Hey, Brian. This is ATL 54, Whiskey Romeo, David, Hotel 390, Mark in Athens.
All right, Mark, you were kind of coming and going there, just barely making the repeater, it sounded like. I think that was ATL 54, but I did not copy your city. If you could come back, I'd appreciate that. Oh, shoot.
Yes, no problem, Net Control. That is correct. It's ATL 54. Name is Mark in Athens.
All right, Mark, I copied Athens. Thank you for that. Any other check-ins, North Georgia GMRS Regional Net? Please call Net Control now.
Hey, Justin, not sure if you copied me or not on my first. This is Somerville 10, portable WQWW 603. I'll be in and out tonight.
Okay, Alex, yes, I did. I have not acknowledged you, though, but sorry about that. Somerville 10, Alex and Canton, I have you in the log as in and out. And you might come in later if you finish what you're working on now. So, and you're welcome to it, Alex. Good to hear from you this evening, and good luck with whatever your task is. Also have a Facebook check-in from CW14, Stephen in Watkinsville. Thank you, Stephen, for checking in with us tonight. I assume that you are monitoring. Oh, he says he's from East Athens. I have the city wrong. Okay. So Stephen is in East Athens this evening. Thank you for hanging out with us. I'll change that in the log here in just a moment. And finally, I have ATL 54, Mark who is also in Athens. Thank you, Mark, for checking in with us this evening. We're looking forward to talking with you here in just a little bit. Do we have any other check-ins? Net Control standing by.
This is Atlanta 261, WRCT 399, Scott from Holly Springs, checking in. Listen, please.
Okay, I copied Atlanta 261, Scott from Holly Springs, and I think there may have been a double there. I heard someone behind him. So whoever that was, if you could come back with your comment or your check-in, please call Net Control.
It was McDonald 22, WLCR 952, taking in and out tonight, please.
Whoops. All right, Tim, I've got you in the log as in and out. Thanks, Tim, for checking in with us this evening. I appreciate that, and hope things are going well down in McDonough. Any other check-ins before we get started with things? Net Control standing by.
This is WREB 246, Atlanta 244, Billy Harp out of Ball Ground, Georgia, checking in.
Okay, Net Control acknowledging ATL 244 Billy in Ball Ground. Thank you for checking in with us this evening. Looking forward to talking with you here in just a little bit. And we might even be able to open a discussion about fox hunting if you can stick around for that. So with that, one last call for check-ins, and then we're going to get started. All right. Okay, well then, I'm going to go ahead and get started with things. Before we go to the top of our list, a couple of things I'd like to talk about. And, you know, we made mention on the Facebook page about the Santa Ana winds and the power outage related to that. So I'd like for you to be thinking about what your emergency communications and what your emergency preparedness level is, and any comments that you might have to that regard. You know, and I'm thinking more along the lines, not just what we can do for our radios, but what provisions have we set aside for our family if we were to encounter a prolonged power outage of 5 to 7 days, I guess is what they're saying at this point. So once the winds are completed, they expect to physically or visually inspect every mile of their network before they turn the power back on. And repair any damages. So there could be a couple of days of inspecting and repairs once they come back up. So we're looking at 5 to 7 days and maybe even a little bit longer of power outage. That's a long time for anybody, and you can't really expect a refrigerator to keep that long, and you might not have enough fuel for your generator, and there's all kinds of things to consider for a prolonged outage of that nature. So let's have a little discussion about that this evening. And a couple of things I want to remind you of. We have coming up next, not this Saturday, but the one following, on actually it's on Friday and Saturday, October 18 and October 19, is the Chattanooga Ham Fest. I'll be up there on the 19th, on Saturday, scoping things out and looking for treasures, and we'll see what we can see. And more importantly, we have another Ham Fest soon to follow on Saturday, November 2nd, and Sunday, November 3rd, the Stone Mountain Ham Fest. And I'd like for you to go to the StoneMountainHamFest.com webpage, and it's just that. It's StoneMountainHamFest, one word, .com, and that'll take you there. Look for the North Georgia GMRS under the Vendors and Exhibitors tab, and you can see a link to our website there. That's very cool. It's kind of fun to see our our web page being linked to from someone else. And also, if you check out the forums, you'll see that we are presenting at noon on Saturday. So that's very cool. So those are a couple of things that I wanted to talk about tonight, and that's all I have. So I think we can get started. So right here at the top of my list, I have Atlanta 253, Donald in Blairsville. Donald, what are you up to this week? Okay, that was a bit of a mess, but we kind of skipped right past the Zello check-ins and the Pine Log check-ins, and we just went for everybody. And it was tough, but we got it.
25, I think we may have just lost Zello.
Yeah, I will call out one more time for Atlanta 253. Donald, are you hanging out with us tonight?
Yep, I am here.
All right, well, yeah, that's the nature of Zello sometimes. And I know plenty of times that I've tried to get in, and I hit the little push to talk, and it won't let me. And I hit it again, and it won't let me. And I hit it again, and it says, you've tried too many times, now you're in timeout. So I've had that happen to me plenty of times. So I feel your pain. But, Donald, what do you have going on this week?
I'm keeping my cousin's dog that lives in Blairsville on the people in for a couple of days.
The joys of dog sitting. There's nothing better than owning a dog for a couple of days. You get all the joys of taking care of a dog and having a dog to be your companion and your best friend for a little while, and then you can just give it back. So outstanding. How are you getting along with the pooch?
He'll come to my house this evening, and he'll be here for Tuesday.
All right. Well, that works. That's a long weekend or a few days with a dog, and hardly anything can go wrong in that short time. So good luck with that adventure, and I hope that your dog sitting time goes well. Thank you, Donald, and that sounds like a good plan. We'll catch up with you next time. With that, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Next in our list is Atlanta 940. That would be Red 40 in Ackworth. Shannon is in and out. Thank you, Shannon, for checking in with us tonight. And that moves me on to Noonan 25, Joe in Fayetteville. Joe, how you doing this evening?
Hey, Justin. Hey, everybody. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Never have any shortage of things to talk about. Regarding the power outage, you know, a couple of years ago, ice storm came through, I think all of metro Atlanta, knocked out power. I live actually in unincorporated Fayette, back in the woods a little bit, and we were without power for 5 days when they let it recycle. As is often the case, they prioritized the restoration of power. I guess we didn't make the cut, you know, everybody on our street. So, being the good radio operator, I did have some battery backups and whatnot. We burned up all the wood in the fireplace. We lasted about 3 days, and by the fourth day, we had to check into a hotel. The kids were getting restless, and we were all getting cabin fever. So, yeah, 5 days or more is pretty rough.
Back when we lived in Indiana, we had a similar experience with an ice storm, and we had power out for about 5 days. And being the railroad employee that I am, that was 5 days of driving from location to location and fueling generators and moving generators from one site to another after batteries are charged at a location. You just pull the generator off and move it to another one, and that was my life for a few days. And meanwhile, Julie and her parents and our kids all checked into a hotel nearby, whose power shortly after they checked in went out, and they moved to another hotel whose power shortly after they checked in moved out, and they generally had a pretty awful time of suffering through the cold, during that time. The house that we had in Fort Wayne was an all electric heat house, so there, even if you could put a generator on the furnace, well, there was no furnace, and to put a generator on the electric heat, you would have had to have had a really big generator. And we didn't have any provision for hooking up to a generator into the breaker panel or anything, so that was a tough time, let me break. But we got through it, and some of our neighbors had water lines burst and things of that nature. We had water running, and at some point along the way, I was able to snag a small generator that wasn't big enough to run anything that the railroad needed to run. And so I brought it home and let it run an electric space heater, a little 1,500 watt heater, and I put that under the kitchen cabinets so that maybe our pipes wouldn't freeze. And we got lucky, but we had some neighbors that didn't get lucky, and they had some water damage as a result. But yeah, extended power outage, and I know that our preparedness here in Georgia is completely inadequate. So one of the things in the 10 years that we've lived here, I think we've probably only had our power out a handful of times, and never for more than a few minutes.
I got it. Yeah, so that's about as worse as it's gotten. You mentioned fox hunting, so I'll just briefly announce the event, and I'll hang out on the net. Mary Catherine's in the other room studying, so I don't have anything else better to do. If anybody has questions, they can bring them up to net control. They'd be happy to answer. This weekend, it's actually a late start, a 10 a.m. start. The West Georgia Amateur Radio Society, they always put on good events. There's going to be a fox hunt at Little Tallapoosa Park. I've actually never been to that park in Carrollton. Starts at 10. We got a couple of guest speakers. I'm one of them that are just going to do little mini talks. Very beginner friendly. We'll have extra radios and antennas. You don't have to have a license to participate. Should last a couple hours, and should be a lot of fun. It's on Facebook, but if you're not on Facebook and you hear this, feel free to contact me directly. Email, use my ham radio call sign, ki4ask@arrl.net. And I don't want to hog the net, so I'll pass it back to you, Justin, and I'll hang out if anybody has fox hunting questions. This is Meeting 25, back to you.
All right, outstanding. And I'm likely going to have a couple of questions for you, but we'll go ahead and get through our list here, and I'll come back to you here in a little bit. So next on my list, I have Atlanta 3-2, Chris, who has finally made it. He has escaped Chicago and is now in Cummings, Georgia. Chris, how you doing this evening? Atlanta 3-2, if you can get to a better location, we weren't able to read really much of any of that. So try to get to a better location and try us one more time here.
Atlanta 3-2, I'll be checking that out tomorrow.
Okay, if you said in and out earlier, I missed that, and I apologize. But we're glad to have you here in the state, and thank you for checking in with us this evening. And we'll go ahead and get you in log here as in and out, so you won't have to sign out later. Thank you for that, Chris, and we will move on to Atlanta 948. Gary in Woodstock. Gary's usually in and out, but I didn't mark him that way, so I'm going to see if he's got anything to say this evening.
First man, 948, you can open on that. I ain't got much to say this evening, but tried to check in and out a while ago, but I guess you didn't hear me, but anyway, I'm checking in and out. Y'all have a good evening.
All right. All right, Gary. Well, yeah, I heard you check in, but we had so many check-ins come so fast that I just didn't get you marked down properly. So, all right, I've got you in a log as in and out. Thank you for that. And we will now move on to Atlanta 403, Bob in White County. What's happening this evening, Bob?
Back on the subject of power, 2 years ago, we got hit pretty hard by that Irma hurricane. Power. Hey, I got backup. My handheld was all the time. I had a generator that I had enough fuel in that thing, about 20 to 30, and Tennessee good. Camping gear, stuff, that kind of stuff. So for me, it was an adventure with no regular power, but I was able to run the fridge, TV, teammates, very important, every morning. And the hardest part was able to take a hot water, because I don't have that power in my generator to run a hot water heater when we break. But as long as you're prepared, that's kind of what we do. We're prepared for the worst, because, we can get cut off, a little snowstorm or even like that hurricane. And you got ready for this kind of stuff. What my little group on the side is all about, my turn group. And we just take care of each other and make sure we're going up to take care of ourselves and keep things going. So that's what it's all about, just thinking ahead and being prepared. The best time to prepare, you don't have to worry about it. That's you should worry about it. Subject other than, that's the way it is up here. White County, we're just more prepared again.
Well, I suppose being up there in White County, you probably kind of have to be prepared because, and like Joe was talking about, we saw this in Fort Wayne too. When they do make repairs to the power grid, they try to focus on the areas that have the most customers affected first, and then as they get those customers back online, they work out to where they've got the little onesie twosies or the small neighborhood there, the little group down this one street here, and of course that means the further away from the metropolis you are, then the less dense the population of your neighborhood might be, so the fewer meters per square mile, and so you get automatically put to the bottom of the list as a result. That's just the way it is, and it's kind of makes sense as to why they do the way they do, because they don't get paid for meters that don't turn. So they want to get as many meters turning as fast as they can, and that's just the nature of it. But thanks for that, Bob. Glad to hear that you've got some emergency preparedness ready there, and you're right. Be prepared is the key, and even though you can't run everything, being able to run things like coffee pot and a refrigerator and some other appliances can make a big difference between comfort and misery. So, all right. Well, thank you for that, Bob, and I'm going to go ahead and move on now to Atlanta 350. Jim in Cedartown. Jim was in and out tonight. Thank you for checking in with us, Jim. I appreciate that. That brings me to Atlanta 737, Sean in Canton. Sean was also in and out tonight. So that then brings me to Noonan 29, Marty in Tyrone. Marty, how you doing this evening? Sometimes, if they're checking in on Zello, it takes a little while.
As the Olympics is terrible, but they did a good thing. It's probably need to put some more focus effort on. I think you said it's very simple. We're quickly prepared. I think that's probably a great deal of it throughout this day. And I think I'd be jumping in the car to go to another place that does have power after a couple of days. So maybe we need to look at house power and taking over fire and the ability to start working that way. It doesn't take a whole lot to put 3 or 4 or 5 days, but if you don't have anything at all, it gives you a challenge. And definitely brings that to the forefront for sure. And it's something that we'll have to focus on because it could happen. If it could happen there, it could happen here. Everybody is subject to it. But that's it. We'll get back to the guys then and start working on it. And I'll turn it back to the net.
Well, thank you for that, Marty. And yes, I know that I know that some folks have had just poor service, and Atlanta 4-7, I believe it is. I'm gonna break here a moment. Sorry about that, everyone. YouTubers had to hear the cough, but the radio did not. Sorry about that. I had a little cough I had to get rid of. Yeah, Noonan 4-7, I believe it is, Todd, had such terrible service from the power utility that he went out and installed a standby generator. So he's probably golden. But, that's quite an expense to go through, and it's hard to justify, where I'm at, because like I say, in the 10 years that we've been here, the power's only been out a handful of times and never for more than a few minutes. So, in fact, most of those outages could be measured in seconds. We have an outstanding utility up here, and very lucky to have had the quality of service that we've had. Thank you again for that, Marty. I'm going to go ahead and move on to Atlanta 108, Skip in Lincoln Town. Skip, it's been a while since we've heard from you. How you doing, my friend?
Well, good evening to you, Justin. By the way, we're pretty close to a year. We've had a lot going on and not able to do exactly what I wanted to do. We're also going through the year, good parts and bad parts. That's just the way life is. We're in the process of moving everything out of Alabama and Clarksville down into Lincoln, right outside of the Dutch, and hope to have that wrapped up in a few months.
Okay, well, I guess that can be quite the adventure. So you're moving A and B to C is what it sounds like to me. So that sounds like that can be a double-sized chore. But fortunately, it sounds as though you have some time to get it done in, and hopefully you're making good progress. Hope that we're able to hear more from you as time goes on. I see you're checking in. You're talking to us by way of Zello. I imagine our RF coverage is a little sparse down that way, but I'm glad you're still able to connect. I look forward to hearing more from you as you get settled in. Thank you for that, Skip, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to Atlanta 291, Nick in Ackworth. Nick, were you in or in and out?
I came back to you and said I was in for the party. Go ahead and cycle real quick and check for signal.
Excellent.
Just a couple of notes to throw on the domestic preparedness side of things. A lot of the things that I read and have been a part of have taught to be prepared for a 4 to 5 day shelter in place. One of the biggest concerns that most people fail to consider is loss of domestic utilities such as water. A couple of cheap $15 water bladders that go into a tub can be a great saver for potable drinking water in the event of a shelter in place. Just one of the considerations I wanted to throw out there since I hadn't heard that mentioned yet.
Well, that's an excellent thought, because if the power is being dropped over a very large region like is happening in California right now, there's going to be gas stations that can't pump fuel, whether they've got it or not. There's going to be all kinds of situations, and yes, the public utilities may not have generators to back up their pumps, and that great big water tower can and will run out. So that's an excellent thought and good idea. Also, they have some very high quality water filters that you can dump mud puddle water into and have safe drinking water when it comes through the filter. So that's something that we've often talked about but never have really even gone out to pursue. So I'm pretty sure if I mention it to 947, she'll be on Amazon, or she'll be looking for it wherever she can find it pretty soon. We'll probably have one here in the next few days. Thank you for that, Nick. With that, I'm going to go ahead and see what Atlanta 5-7 Andrew is up to, and how about those Braves?
You had to bring that up. Anyway, good evening, Justin, and everyone on the net. Yeah, the Braves. Oh, boy. Choke. It's the official sports drink of the Georgia team. So that's all I have to say about that. Really, other than that, and that depressing bit of news, had an interesting time here recently. Work's going good. Family is doing good for the most part. My mom is actually staying with me currently here for a little bit. That has been a trying process. Currently trying to find her a suitable place to go that can properly take care of her. So that's been a struggle, but hey, you know what? We're going to get through it. As far as preparedness of a power outage, oh boy. Well, I got a bunch of batteries over here, but that's not going to do a whole lot for large appliances or anything like that. I do have a small generator that I've really never used, because as like you, I timed out. Interesting. I guess I need to reprogram that timer on this radio. Anyway, I rarely ever lose power, being on the same line that the elementary school is and right next to the substation. Never have an issue with that. So I guess if something like California happens here, I guess I'll be flying by the seat of my pants, and we'll see how that works out.
Yes, indeed, we'll see. And that's just one of those things that everybody has to have their own plan, their own idea of what preparedness is. And for me, I would just hope that I have enough fuel to get far enough away that we could drive, back up to Indianapolis, or down to St. Augustine, or whatever made the most sense based on whatever the current disaster would be. But that would be probably my first move, is to skedaddle. But if it were just going to be a short-term thing, we'd tough it out right here as we are. But that's interesting. We can be as disappointed with the Braves as you want to, and certainly there were some performance issues that could have made a difference in those last few games. But we still have to offer respect to the Braves for making it to the playoffs, for all the teams that didn't even get that far. So, it was a disappointing end of the season, but it was still a worthwhile accomplishment in the big picture. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to Atlanta. 106, Brian here in Woodstock. Brian had a big day, and he is in and out. And that brings me to Atlanta, 170, Jesse in Lilburn. Jesse, are you awake? Jesse's speechless. How can that happen? Atlanta 170. Jesse, are you still with us? All right, I'm going to, hearing nothing, I'm going to assume that he's had to step away or take a phone call, or, he may have had a work emergency. Who knows? So we're going to go ahead and set him aside for the moment and move on to Atlanta 780, Houston and Austell. And if Jesse wants to come back in at some point, Jesse, you're more than welcome to do so. Houston, what have you got going on this evening?
Hey, not much, Justin. Good evening to you. Good evening to the rest of the net. As far as the power goes, as you know, mine runs off of battery power all the time, the radios. I have a generator. I have water. I have food stored. So if you have been around for the Blizzard of '93, you probably have the same thing, because we were stuck without power for about 7 days.
Yeah, 7 days would be a long stretch. 5 days is a long stretch, but especially when you don't have any preparation for it. And that's the situation we had in Fort Wayne. We had no preparation for power being out for that kind of time, and having a home that is all electric heat was really an advantage during those years, because natural gas prices were through the roof. And so it was actually cheaper to heat with electric heat than it was to run a furnace. So we enjoyed that for that period of time. It's not true today, but it certainly was at that time. But once the power's out, man, you need a pretty hefty generator to be able to run that electric heat in a home. And it was ceiling grid heat, and they were on 30 amp 220 volt breakers, and it was a pretty hefty power bill. But there again, my neighbors that had gas furnaces were paying 2 and 3 times what I was paying for electricity, so we were pretty pleased with our electric bill at that time. But yeah, Houston, the batteries will run the radios, and to have some water and some food and some provisions stored away is what we should all do. And we don't do it here. We've never practiced that. We ought to. One of these days we're going to wish we did. Thank you for that, Houston. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to Somerville 10, Alex at Canton. Alex was in and out. He said he might check in with us here in a bit, so we'll see if he's ready when we get to the end. My next check-in is CW14, Stephen in East Athens. Stephen checked in on Facebook, so by default, he's going to be in and out. And that brings me to Atlanta 54, Mark in Athens. Good evening, Mark. Glad to have you in here with us. And what have you got for us this evening? Okay, Mark may have checked in and out, or he may have had to step away. We're going to go ahead and move on, and if he wants to come back to us later, he's more than welcome to. I'm going to go ahead and move on now to Atlanta 261, Scott in Holly Springs. Scott, are you ready for the coming potential disaster?
Yes, sir. That's a long story, and I'll get timed out before I end the story. But yes, as far as that last snowstorm, where it took me 12 and a half hours to get from downtown over to Johnstone Elementary and then walk the rest of the way home, didn't even have my cell phone powered up and didn't even have a charger cord in my van. So I was pretty much all alone from about 3 o'clock till about 1 o'clock in the morning. Could listen to the radio, but had no way of communication. And let me break, and I got one more quick comment. just wanted to say thank you to 780, Mr. Houston. Got a lead on that HT battery, that handheld battery. Looks pretty cool. And thank you to Noonan 25. He is the knight in shining armor over at the amateur radio satellite. Now, he's the man to follow, and appreciate that.
Well, yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to have the resources that we have and the help that's available. You know, I look around on a lot of these radio club pages, and I see somebody ask a question, and you know, there's a bunch of snarky remarks and a bunch of meanness and a bunch of you ought to know better kind of stuff, and I'm just really grateful that we don't have that here. You can ask any kind of a question you want of the people either in the Facebook page or right on the air, and there's people that are wanting to get involved and help you out, and that's a very cool situation to be in, and I couldn't be prouder of the friends that I have in North Georgia GMRS, and absolutely Joe and Houston and many others are ready, willing, and able, and very much want to get involved in solving whatever radio issues you might have. You know, so what a cool group of people we have.
Yes, sir. And my final note, I relocated this little small base station, and just in the last half hour, was listening, and they returned, and one of our foster cats looks like he might have chewed into my Kenwood speaker mic cord, right at the tail outlet of the transmission. So, looks like I might need to go to Chattanooga or Stone Mountain if anybody's got a Kenwood mic for a TK radio. Thanks a lot. I'll send a pic of this on Facebook. Very hilarious.
Oh my golly! Well, I can't wait to see that. And yeah, I'm sure that a microphone can be found in Chattanooga or at Stone Mountain. And I tell you, if I were going to wait until the Stone Mountain Hamfest to pick up a mic, the first place I would look for a microphone for a TK or any Kenwood radio would be at the North Georgia GMRS Radio Network booth inside the main exhibition hall. Atlanta 60 will have a number of items there for sale, and so feel free to peruse that inventory, because any sales that are made through that's money that goes back that helps to fund our repeater maintenance and upgrades and software and server time and all of those kind of things. So absolutely recommend the first move with any radio purchase or any parts or what have you is to see what Atlanta 60 might have, and that just helps to support the organization as a whole, and that contributes to our fundraising efforts. So good luck with finding that part, and I think that you can count on some success there, and probably might even be able to make arrangements to get one to you here in pretty short order, since he'll be up this way next week. With that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to McDonough 22, Tim down in Stockbridge. Tim, thank you for checking in with us this evening. I've got you in a log as in and out. I understand you're busy tonight. So that brings me to the last check-in that we have on the list, which is Atlanta 244, Billy Harp in Ball Ground. Billy is a new member, and he's had some great questions on Facebook so far, and we're looking forward to more of that. Billy, how are you doing this evening? Atlanta 244, Billy, are you still in there with us? All right. Well, we're hearing nothing from Billy. He may have had to step away. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor and ask for any late check-ins. Anyone wishing to speak to any member of the group can call them out by their tactical unit number or their first name. And feel free. The floor is open, and anyone wishing to check in may check in at this time. Net control standing by.
Land 244, Billy. Transmitting.
All right, Billy. Yeah, that happens. Somebody was in there doubling with you, Billy. So if you will wait just one moment, let me see who that was. Other station that was trying to transmit just a moment ago. Who is that?
Hey, Justin, that was Somerville 10. I'm back in. Go ahead and get with Billy and come on back to me.
I'll do it. All right, Atlanta 244, Billy. It's great to hear from you this evening. What have you got going on, and do you have any questions for the group?
I'm enjoying y'all's Facebook page. I did want to say something about the power outages when the last snowstorms come through, or ice storm. Pretty much everything I got is four-wheel drive, so I got outplayed a little bit. But we were without power for 5 days, and luckily, like I said, I had some food bag storage, and I had camp stove and enough tanks to run them, and I split a lot of firewood out in the snow, so we were done all right. But we just ran out of firewood just as our power came back on.
Oh, man, that's lucky. Yeah, I know that when we had the ice storm, I don't remember what year it's been. It's been several years ago now. We had major gridlock on the streets, and I was in Midtown, and all the offices were talking about early dismissal, but maybe not dismissing, and maybe they will dismiss, and maybe they won't, and so it was late enough in the event when they finally decided to send people home that I felt like it was dangerous to even go out. Of course, I ride an express bus into Atlanta, so my options for transportation are a little bit limited, and so I decided to, using the term from Atlanta 291, shelter in place. I stayed at the office. I figured I've got food in the vending machines, and I had some stashed in my desk. I've got restroom, I've got water, I've got power, I've got, I'm going to be comfortable. It's not real comfortable for sleeping, but other than that, I've got all the comforts that I need to get by. I don't want to be stuck on a bus. And sure enough, my boss ended up spending 18 hours on a bus, stranded on 75, and yeah. So when they cancel bus service now, I don't go in. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, I got out and rode around in my four-wheel drive and delivered some water bottles to some stranded truckers and helped anybody out who I see might need help out. I had a 12,000-pound winch on the truck, so I pretty much could pull a lot of people out.
Yeah, very nice. It'd be kind of fun to be able to do if you've got the right equipment and can get out there and not contribute to the problem like so many people did by getting out there and not being able to drive through it. And, we're from northern Indiana, and so driving through snow and ice is something that we're very accustomed to. But one of the big differences up north, whenever there's a snowstorm coming or an ice storm coming, before the storm ever hits, they're out there with brine treating the roads, and while the storm is underway, they're plowing and sanding and salting as needed. So it's a very different situation driving in the snow and the ice up north, because you're driving on sanded and salted roadways, whereas down here when we get an ice storm, you're only going to see the brine trucks on the major expressways and very, very few plows. And so it's a very different thing. So people that come from the north and say, I know how to drive on that, well, I'm telling you, they don't. It's different here. It really is.
I'm in the process now. I'm going to start looking for my wife. Her expedition's a two-wheel drive. We're looking for her a Jeep or a H3 or something. She's a kindergarten teacher, and it never fails. It's when they don't call it off is when it snows, and when they do call off school, you can almost go swimming.
Well, and that's also been my experience too. When they cancel bus service, it ends up being not too bad of a day. But I'm just in my mind, that's all I need. If the governor's going to declare an emergency and the public bus service is going to cancel service, that's enough for me, and I'm just going to stay home. So, and I do. But yeah, it's just a different world here when we have those kind of storms than what people might be used to up north. So, and as far as getting your wife a vehicle, 947 would highly recommend that you buy her a Jeep. She loves her Jeep. So with that, I'll go ahead and move on now to Somerville 10 and see what Alex is up to in Canton.
Good evening, Justin. Good evening to the rest of the net. Sorry about earlier. I had a guy that I met on Facebook Marketplace. He was coming over here and cutting some keys for my new vehicle for me. Just kind of hanging out here for the remainder of the net for the evening, and wanted to comment in. My mitigation plan in the event of lost power is we've got two 4,000 peak amp peak watt generators here, and a number of 1,000-watt inverters for the vehicles. Try and keep my vehicles fueled up at max capacity at all times. We have a creek behind our house. It's Two-Night Creek, and have several, about 3 hand pump filters that I can filter water out of there, and several Wise Food storage buckets. So that's our mitigation plan for the meantime.
And that's exactly what you need to have, the food provision and a plan to be able to access water and a plan for basic utility power so that you can make things function. I think that would probably be our biggest hardship right here is if the water towers ran out and we didn't have municipal water. I don't have much in the way of water storage, and we don't have access to a running creek. Of course, we're not far from Lake Allatoona, but that might not be an easy thing to get to either. So that's something we'll have to put some thought into here. But thank you for that, Alex. I appreciate your comments. And with that, I'm going to open up the floor one more time. Any late check-ins or any comments for anyone anywhere, please call.
This is 403, and I am Gerlin. I am in Powell, Alabama. Address on the membership list will show Fife, Alabama. Actually, in a little town of Powell, Alabama, we don't have a post office here, but I think that covers my check-in in here.
No, right there, Gerlin. Well, there were actually 2 check-ins right there. I heard Atlanta 130, and I'd missed your call sign, your TAC unit number. So Atlanta 130, if you'll come first with your name and city, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, later tonight, things like we're able to send it to the receiver anyway. So, call WLVC 811, name's Charles, and we're located in Gainesville.
Okay, Atlanta 130, Charles in Gainesville. Thank you for that check-in. I appreciate that. And I'm going to go on now to Gerlin. Gerlin, I don't remember your TAC number. Can you come back with that one more time? Is that ATL72? I don't remember.
Negative. Atlanta 60 gave me back my old Alabama tactical unit number last Saturday, I believe it was, and it's Alabama 672. Alabama 672. My call sign is WRDH403. It's different from what it used to be. I had to renew.
Outstanding. Okay. Well, I have you in the log, Alabama 672, Gerlin in Powell, and thank you very much for that. Stand by for a moment, Gerlin. I'm going to go back to Atlanta 130 and see if Charles has any comments for the net this evening.
see if I can make it in there this evening. I've just been kind of busy all day. Picking up black walnut and a few other things. We're going to call it a day and finish up tomorrow sometime. But slow it down, so we'll have a note on there, amateur day. We didn't just finish it until
No, all right, Charles. Yeah, you're making it into the sassafras repeater just fine. We're still having a little issue with cross-link repeater traffic from sassafras to Pine Log. So anyone who is listening on Pine Log probably saw your receive light come and go, just like mine did. And we're aware of that issue, and we are currently troubleshooting that. It's an odd one. We're not quite sure why it's doing what it's doing. But we'll keep investigating until we get it resolved, and we'll go from there. But, yeah, the amateur bands are a lot of fun, and many of the North Georgia GMRS members are amateurs, as are I and my wife. And there's a lot to radio. GMRS is a great tool, and so are the amateur bands, and that's great to have that capability to communicate on both sides. So thank you for that, Charles. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to Alabama 672 Garland. How are you doing this evening?
Well, I'm doing good. I just got in on the last part of it there, and I didn't even catch who's calling the net. And I'm not on here enough to remember, but anyway, I had to make a little trip, and just got back and heard you talking to a couple of them there on the end, kind of. But, yeah, I used to have a different call sign, and I let my license expire, and when I went to try to renew them, that didn't work out too good, so I wound up with a new one, and when I did that, I wound up with Atlanta 135, but Gary was kind enough to give me back my old unit number, Alabama 672. I'm kind of glad to get that back. I'm a little more used to it, but that's how all that happened anyway. But and I hope I get to make the Stone Mountain Ham Fest over there. I'm a ham also against you.
Yeah, I think you timed out there, Curlin, but come on back with the rest of that. We lost you at that you're an amateur as well.
Yeah, my radio let me know something was going on there. Yeah, I'm an extra, finally, a little over 2 years now, but, and I hope I get to make the Stone Mountain Ham Fest, I guess what I was saying there, and I've never been to that one, but I'm hoping to get to make it. I know it sounds like a big one.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We were there last year, and we thoroughly enjoyed the opportunity to meet a lot of the North Georgia GMRS members, as well as a lot of hams, and we were able to spread the word to the ham community and bring some of those hams into the North Georgia GMRS family, and we've had great success with that. So that's been very cool. And I'm having a computer malfunction here. All of my windows have gone black, as has happened to Atlanta 947 a time or two. So I can't see the logbook at this point in time. Do we have any additional check-ins or any comments? The floor is open. Last station, go ahead. Okay, looks like I'm starting to come back here. Last station, do we have any comments, any late check-ins? Call net control now.
our firepower goes off, we have a gas boiler and a wood burner. We've got a fireplace where we can put food on.
And that's a good option as well. I know that we have a fireplace, but you know, not all fireplaces are created equal. And I've noticed that whenever we start a fire in our fireplace, one of the first things that happens is the temperature in the house drops and the furnace comes on. The fireplace that we have is poorly made and poorly designed, and its greatest capability is pulling the heat right out of the house.
We had to turn the furnace down without the roof would get hotter.
Yeah, and I know a guy too that's got a wood burner insert in. You know, the fireplace comes out and you put this wood burner in, and it connects to the ductwork. You know, for your furnace, and that thing makes some serious heat, and he heats all winter long with firewood, and he doesn't use a whole lot of it. He uses like 2 pickup truck loads, so that's a great way to heat if you've got the right equipment to do it, but I obviously don't. But that's fantastic that you're able to do that. And yeah, the gas grill is definitely a good tool for that. And I've made a point of trying to be sure that I've always got 1 extra propane bottle full. Whenever one runs out, we get it filled back up right away, so that if something were to happen, we've got plenty of propane on hand. All right, you two. All right, we can do that, and I'm going to call one last time. Any late comments, any late check-ins, call net control now, or we're going to go ahead and close this thing down. So let's see if anybody has any comments out there. I'll break one more time.
261-780. Atlanta 261, Scott, are you still in there? Okay, I guess not. Back to you, Justin.
All right, Houston. Yeah, we've run along this evening. We might be past some folks' bedtimes, so I don't necessarily have any time constraints on the net. I just kind of let it do what it's going to do. But we are particularly long this evening, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. And so this concludes the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. We had a total of 25 check-ins this evening, including myself. I'll be returning the repeater back to normal use. Everyone that signed in should sign out. And of course, following the checkouts, anybody that wishes to engage in conversations, the repeaters will be open, and feel free to rag chew for a while. This is WQIR 514, Atlanta 946. Thank you for allowing me to be your net controller tonight. I am clear. All right. So we'll give these folks a chance to check out. You guys can't hear me. Okay. We'll give these folks a chance to check out. All right.
WQWW603.
Okay. That, I believe, was Alex. That was Nick.
AKO 90 and AKO 97. You in there?
Clarence is trying to chime in and talk to Jennifer.
28, I'm in here. There's nothing when I wasn't going to interrupt, so I no.
Yeah, folks are likely not.
Even though the net is going on, you're not doing that break. That is break.
Yeah, Clarence. That's not what we want you to do.
I don't want to interrupt when they're
Okay,
doing that.
I'm just going to turn that audio feed down so I can talk to you here for a moment. We had an interesting event occur during the net, and that is the alarm was going off on the Jeep out in the driveway. I don't have a remote for the car here in this room, so I was trying to figure out who was going to turn the alarm off and if somebody was actually out there messing with it. Well, I didn't see anybody out there, so that was interesting. I think 947 must have heard it, got out of bed, and went to turn it off. So appreciate that. I'm not sure if I'm still streaming or not. It looks like we've had some trouble with the stream this evening. But in any case, I'm going to click the button for end stream now. Thank you for hanging out with us this evening, and we look forward to visiting with you again real soon. This is Atlanta 946 WQIR 514, and I am clear. Oh, wait, I got to do this first. No, that's not the one. There it is.